going to open the council meeting. Paul will not be here tonight, so please call the roll.
Esty?
Here.
Ham?
Yes.
Rasmussen?
Yes.
Toohill?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Flournoy?
Yes.
Great. Are there any changes to the agenda, council? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Approval of the minutes of the September 26, 2022 council meeting. Approval of September 21st, 2022 special payroll for $9.99. Approval of the September 30th, 2022 payroll in the amount of $165,998.92. Acceptance of the Personnel Committee minutes. Acceptance of the Water and Sewer Utilities Committee minutes. Acceptance of the Environmental and Franchise Utilities Committee minutes. Resolution authorizing salaries of city employees. Resolution of employment of a communication specialist. Approval of tobacco permit for Casey's number 4306. Resolution authorizing funds transfer. Approval of fiscal year 23 USDA Step 1 debt in the amount of $155,700. That payment's $12,975 a month. Approval of fiscal year USDA wastewater treatment debt in the amount of $927,540. Payment's $77,295 a month. Approval of fiscal year 23 USDA Step 2 debt in the amount of $336,612, with that being $28,051 a month. Approval of general obligation debt in the amount of $600. Approval of ACH payment to Iowa Department of Revenue in the amount of $13,930.78. Approval of total claims in the amount of $506,083.04. We had 2 claims greater than $75,000. One to Lawson Construction for the amount of $102,466.17 for Highway 1 water main replacement, and WRH Inc. for wastewater treatment upgrades in the amount of $147,647.10. So I'll take a motion to approve consent agenda.
Do you have anything on financials this week?
No, all the claims look like they're appropriate, so I don't have any issues with those.
Second. Did you?
So that motion, Doug?
I'll move to
thought-
approve.
No.
Okay. Okay. Moved by Toohill, second by Rasmussen. Any other discussion?
Just have a question.
Yes.
So when we approve these debts, like for step 1, WWTP, we bonded those out, right?
Correct.
So when we're approving the debt, we're just collecting on the bonds?
Approving the payments.
Payments going forward.
Yep. For this year. And I'm gonna,
So
I
we're
haven't
approving
asked,
for the whole year ahead of time.
right. And I haven't asked Rebecca on that, but I'm gonna assume that's an auditor thing.
So I guess I would say, you would put the title down, you could say USDA Step 1 debt payment. Just to make it clear, I didn't understand what it meant when you put it that way, or whoever did it. All right, that's all I have.
Okay. Any other questions? Not, please call the roll.
Toohill?
Yes.
Rasmussen?
Yes.
Flournoy?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes, but I need to abstain from the September 26 minutes.
Oh, I think I need to do that too. Thank you for reminding me. Abstain from the September 26th approval of the minutes.
Ham?
Yes.
Esty?
Yes.
Okay, great. We have no public appearances today, so we'll move on to resolutions, action items, and ordinances. Our first action item is consideration of return to work policy. Who's going to talk about that?
I can't hear in a second.
Okay.
The return to work policy is nothing more than putting what we're doing in practice for what I would call light duty. It's requested by the Iowa Workman's Comp Insurance to protect us, to put it in a formal policy so that we have more leg to stand on if there was issues during that process of a light duty application. So it was recommended by ICAP and IMWCA for us to put this policy in place.
I move we approve the return to work policy.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve this policy. Any questions?
Yeah, where, did we come up with this language? Was
No,
this?
this was a recommended
Recommended?
policy from ICAP and IMWCA.
Okay.
Any other questions? Now, please call the roll.
Flournoy.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Esti.
Yes.
Ham.
Yes.
Rasmussen.
Yes.
Toohill.
Yes.
Next action item, consideration of authorization of investment accounts.
As you can see, we put some investments out for bid. We received those bids. My recommendation is to go with the Iowa State Bank bids for both different investments. This will give us a significant amount of interest compared to what we've had in the past. So I would recommend accepting Iowa State Bank's bids for the money market account that's in Midwest One, which is the $4.1 million, and then the $3 million from iPay. Also,
We make those as just two separate motions.
sure,
So I recommend the 4.1 at, what was it,
4.1.
4.1 million.
Yes.
I can't open them.
4.1.
4.1.
I can't open them on my phone.
Can you see it?
They're
That's
both
4.1.
They're both 4.1. 4.1% at 4.1 million.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
4.1 million at 4.1%. Thank you.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Esti. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Flournoy.
Yes.
Esti.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Toohill.
Yes.
Rasmussen.
Yes.
Ham.
Yes.
Okay, then we have the 3 million
At 3.9.
at 3.9.
So I make the motion that we invest 3 million in a money market at Iowa State Bank at 3.90% APY.
So second? Second by Esti. Any discussion? Not, please call the roll.
Flournoy.
Yes.
Esti.
Yes.
Ham.
Yes.
Not sure.
Rasmussen.
Yes.
Toohill.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Next action item, consideration of police department study. Aaron, you want to talk about that?
Yep. A couple months ago, we talked about trying to look at our police department and help our police department to figure out what we could do and how we could be the best police department to encourage and to recruit more candidates. And I sent out a RFP to 3 different people. And I also put it on the Iowa League of Cities to request an RFP, and I received one RFP back, which from the people that I've talked to, this individual does a lot of these, and he's actually a police chief in State Center right now. I think he would do a good job of looking at our department and helping us to look and make us as best a good department, or might tell us that we're doing the right things. So I think it's a benefit to helping our department more than anything to see where we're at.
Did the bid hit within what we had budgeted?
It's about where I figured it would be, is about 10 grand.
10 grand, okay.
Yep,
Because we've already brought that to council to proceed with this, right? Or just to put it out to bid?
to put it out to bid.
Okay.
Did the RFP.
So now we're asking for
Okay.
to accept the RFP,
The
or
RFP.
to accept the policy now, or the request,
This will be done before December, right?
Yes. He's actually thinking if we accept it tonight, he'll be here in a couple weeks and he'll have it done before January 1.
Said 8 to 10 weeks.
I'd like to know, like, what exactly is he going to be doing?
He's
Because
gonna
it's not
look-
clear from this.
Well, it's vague because he's kind of looking at the entire department,
Okay.
looking at workload, looking at how we're staffed as far as how we allocate staff. He's going to look at equipment to an extent. He's going to look at kind of comparables. Are we paying well? Where we need to do better than that? He's kind of giving us an overall general look of everything within the department to see how we can improve or if there's anything to improve.
So just general health of our police department?
Yes and yes. I mean, I don't want to be vague, but I mean, it's kind of trying to look, I guess I look at it as we're looking at we're trying to leave no stone unturned to how we can make ourselves better.
Because he had some attachments that we didn't get, so I was just curious then to see.
And some of those, and a lot, so one was his resume, I think one was another, I can't remember off the top of my head what they were. I chose which attachment you got.
Work product,
Yeah.
preliminary numbers related to proposed comparable communities for this study.
Can we
Yes.
expect to have actionable items from him upon completion?
I would think so, yes.
Okay.
It kind of depends on what he comes back with. If he says, hey, you guys are doing great, there's not much we can do to change, then no. If he comes back and says, I would recommend you do this, this, and this, well, then, yeah, we will have things.
Doing great.
And enduring observation seems to be that the sheriff's department does not experience the same kind of turnover that we experience. And so we've been attributed to salary differences. But aren't the ages of the police or the two forces about the same, and their backgrounds are about the same? And
They've had a little bit of seniority retirement, so that's kind of what's happened there recently
in the sheriff's department?
in the sheriff's office.
But they don't have, I don't know, we were short 5, right? Officers,
At the beginning
not
of,
too long ago.
Yeah, we're short 5, but we actually have an authority to hire another one, so we're actually short 6
6.
right
So that's
now.
about a third of the force.
and didn't we
Right.
just
The
lose
sheriff's
one?
department never experiences that kind of shortage.
No, and they're, I don't want to, I mean, the sheriff, when you can, there's just differences in a sheriff's office compared to a city department, and workload is different.
So other than salary, they just have
Hours
a
can be
attractive
different.
work environment, you think?
To an extent.
That's kind of what this is supposed to tell us, though, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's why we're doing
It's
this.
to help us, yes, to look at those things.
Not to get off topic either, weren't we supposed to be swearing in a new officer tonight?
There was a change in plans with that.
Okay.
She's decided that she's not quite ready to jump into law enforcement yet.
Okay.
We have another person that we have a conditional offer out to that they're working on right now, so hopefully that will work out.
Okay.
Well,
Sergeant, that covered that pretty well?
We really bumped up salaries for officers here in the city.
Say that again?
About 5 years ago, we substantially bumped up salaries for officers here in the city.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't seem to have done any good.
They've done another study where they're not in the similar population wise. They're down at the bottom. They're not the bottom salary, but they're bottom 3 right now. And to move up, it would take a little bit more money for each individual officer. It's an arms race, and that's the difficult part we're in.
Yeah. So we'll be looking at that too. That'll be part of it.
We have that.
Hours will be part of it, their schedules.
I mean, just about everything to look at will be a recommendation, I think, is what we're going to get.
And he's going to be comparing Fairfield with other towns of similar
Yep.
populations.
Yep.
What else?
Like size departments, like population. I mean, there's a lot of variables when you start looking at police departments. Different
Yeah.
departments have different staffing levels and stuff like that. So
Okay.
yes, again, the
Lots
answer
of
is
variables.
yes and
It's going to be
yes.
super vague. And okay, cool.
And, we've done exit interviews, just to let the public know, we've done exit interviews. And we've gotten similar reasons, particularly why they're going to the sheriff's department, if that's in fact the case. We have obviously had some people go to larger cities, larger departments.
Out of state.
And so we think we know, but also sometimes a third party might be able to ask a question a different way. So we'll see if we can get it, see if we're really getting the information objectively and accurately.
So are we gonna speak to this individual? Will he come and present to us? Or will his findings all be in the form of written reports?
I think if you want him to come and present to the council, that's fine. We can ask him to do that. Otherwise, I would anticipate it as a written report. I've actually known him for quite a while, back to when I was a police officer. So if we would like him to come talk, we can do that.
Okay.
I would find that attractive
I would
because,
too.
Yeah.
if we're gonna do this, we really got to dig into it deep. And try and really get
Yeah.
a clear understanding of what's going on.
Okay.
This has been a
Ongoing
gnawing problem
issue,
for
yeah.
many, 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 many years.
Yes.
And it may practically be insolvable.
I think, well, I don't think
I
it's
think it's
insolvable, but everybody, and even if you go to the Golden Circle or go to the metros, they're having a tough time hiring
Well, the
officers.
environment is not very attractive.
Right.
To go into that field.
Correct.
That's been the case for a long time.
Yep.
Okay, so with that said, council, you want to move forward with this?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Moved by Anderson, second by Toohill. Any other discussion? Not, please call the roll.
Anderson.
Yes.
Toohill.
Yes.
Rasmussen.
Yes.
Esti.
Yes.
Flournoy.
Yes.
Ham.
Yes.
Next, resolution, consideration of tax abatement application for 204 North Fifth Street. This is,
Move that we approve the tax abatement for 204 North Fifth Street.
okay,
Second.
okay. Been moved and seconded to approve this tax abatement. Any discussion? Not, please call the roll.
Flournoy.
Yes.
Ham. Yes. Toohill.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Esti.
Yes.
Yes.
Rasmussen.
Next is ordinance 1219, consideration of amendment repealing chapter 11.36, snow and ice removal, street and alleyways, and snow and ice control policy. This is our second reading. Before I open the public hearing, I'll let Melanie talk.
Yeah. So just as a reminder, what we're requesting here is to take the policy out of the code and, or take it out of the code and put it into a policy. The policy itself is attached to the agenda. At the last council meeting, it was asked about the sidewalks on the square. The way that it had read was that you're not allowed to push snow from the sidewalks or parking lots into the street. And I talked with Joe Hurd, the street superintendent, and he said his concern really isn't coming from the sidewalks. It's coming from the parking lots, private parking lots, or maybe if someone has a larger than normal sidewalk area, maybe they own several buildings and their company pushes everything longitudinally and then pushes it out to the street. So we, if somebody just, shovel just goes straight into the street, that's not a problem. It's the big piles that go there, particularly after the street department has already been there. So what we added, I put it in red, is snow removal from sidewalks shall not be deposited on the street in a manner that will hinder the city's ability to manage snow and ice related conditions on the streets. Joe said he'll talk to people that are having an issue, that there are a couple places in the downtown that he has concerns with, and he talked to him last year, and he'll talk to him again this year, and then that's gonna be the last warning they get before they, have
they
a
be
fine
cited?
from Joe.
Will they be cited?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, or Joe removes it and they're sent the cost of that. But yeah, so they are getting notified of that.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I know in some places it gets problematic because the line of sight is blocked. So coming out of Glasgow Road, for example, looking down Burlington East can sometimes be difficult.
So that would be our crews, probably, wouldn't it? Be clearing that?
Yeah,
And
what's in
leaving the pile?
It's
Yeah.
in the city limits.
Okay. Well, no, I was just saying, that's something that needs to be addressed with personnel, not this necessarily the policy.
You're talking about creating the pile. But
Yes.
there is a business on that corner that
Yes.
is
Okay.
pushing it
Okay,
probably north.
okay, all right.
So
Yep.
Okay, so I'd like to open the public hearing. Is there anyone here that wants to speak to this issue? We've got a light audience tonight. Okay, I'll close the public hearing then. Council, want to move this to the third and final reading?
So moved.
Moved by Anderson,
second.
second by Toohill. Any other discussion? If not, please call the roll.
Anderson.
Yes.
Toohill.
Yes.
Ham. Yes. Rasmussen.
Yes.
Esti.
Yes.
Flournoy.
Yes.
Under the mayor's report, I have a few things. We have a committee appointment. Sandy Gillespie, replacing Kathy Talinair, tongue-tied there. Sandy's interested in participating, and Kathy's on to doing some other things. So I would entertain a motion to approve Sandy.
So move.
Thank you.
Second.
Second by Ham. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. I'd like to set a work session, preferably for November 19th. I want to note that November 5th is when Terry Baker's workshop is going to be from 9 to noon, and I know she's going to all want you there, so we decided to wait a couple of weeks, and that is the weekend before Thanksgiving, so I'm hoping most everyone will be here, and Katie's shaking her head no.
Is that a
Kansas
visioning
City.
workshop that I saw something about?
Excuse me?
Is that the visioning workshop?
Yeah.
Yes, that's the November 5th. So November 19th, we're hoping that most of you can be, I guess. But you'll be gone.
Kansas City, sorry.
Yeah.
I can't do the 19th either.
Nice.
Okay?
9 to noon.
Yeah. What do you want to do, Aaron? What about the 12th? Was that a no-go for you?
Do you really want me to pull that schedule up right now? I think so. I think that's a family deal for my boys.
Okay. Do you want to push it into December?
What about, the weekend of the Thanksgiving wouldn't work. So how about December 3rd?
Okay.
Don't have anything on my calendar.
Does that work for you?
No.
Doesn't work for Martha.
Sorry.
How about Tom?
He's got to check with his wife.
No, she's having knee replacement the day before, so.
No, that's not so
Oh,
good.
you're going to want to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna want to come here.
Yeah, so, I'm kind of torn there. No, I probably shouldn't be here.
We don't want to do a Wednesday evening, 5 to 8 or anything, do we?
Nope.
Okay, just asking.
I'd be open to that.
We never do Wednesday evening, no.
So are you dancing on that night, Doug?
I am.
Okay, Tuesday or Thursday?
Sorry?
A Tuesday or a Thursday?
I can't do Thursdays.
Okay.
Yeah. Tuesday's preferable, but I could do Tuesday evening.
Tuesday? Go ahead.
I have Tuesdays full.
Okay.
They involve council members.
Okay, how
I mean, I would
about
come on.
the 10th? December 10th.
Going once.
It's getting into the budget season, but I think we can still work capital improvement in on that date to still work in the budget, so.
I'll say
Is that
yes.
okay, Melanie?
I won't start on it till after January anyway, so it doesn't matter when you guys schedule.
Okay, December 10th, going once, going twice. Okay, December 10th,
9 to noon?
9 to noon.
9 to noon.
Okay.
Okay. And if you have something that you want on the agenda, please let myself or Aaron know. I mean, we have put together a partial agenda now. And like I say, if we don't have to stay till noon, we won't. Next thing is animal complaints. Got an email from Doug. He got a complaint too. I think the complaint I had a little while back is from the same person regarding deer, and I don't know, was the same person about cats?
Is on Broadway, live on Broadway.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, she wants cats to be put on a leash when they're outside.
okay, well,
Funny about
let's,
that? What's so funny about that?
We actually had a hearing on cat leash law about 10, 12 years ago when we passed our comprehensive dog law, and it wasn't very popular.
Say, what
Well,
cats were wild animals in Iowa?
She had cats coming in, I mean, she felt threatened by one cat at least at one point. But she thought a leash would be, like you put a rope on, you put a dog on a chain. You could do that with a cat.
I'm for it, but
you could, but it's not, I don't think it's going to
All
happen.
right,
And I think
well,
It's impractical.
people should be aware that your cats are problematic if they're
Not staying on their
outside
property.
their own yard.
so are dogs.
Yes.
They are, but
Chipmunks?
cats roam a little bit more.
Yeah.
They're
But-
free to go out a little bit more and roam.
We have a leash policy on dogs, right? But people don't follow it.
Yeah. So do you want to take that issue to committee?
Yeah, we could write it into the or ordinance that they should be on a leash, and people won't follow it the same way they don't follow the dog leash policy.
Okay, well, let's talk about deer then. Maybe we can put these at the same place.
Yes.
So,
Deer on the leash, too.
yeah, we'll put deer on the leash
Yes,
too. Yep.
please.
The person I talked to claimed that she had lost hundreds of dollars worth of dead hostas.
Oh, yeah.
I don't mind
entire
die. Mine
garden.
come back, and they don't seem to eat the ones that are in the front of the house, only down in the wooded area. So I don't know what's going on with that.
Because that's their
but
habitat.
Don't they come
so
back?
They don't have to.
They don't kill them, do
They
they?
do.
They do come
Yeah, they
back.
come back, but they generally don't bloom. At least that's the case in my yard because
Okay.
they eat them. So I've done a little research, just so you know. And again, we can take this committee and hash it out a little bit more. But I can tell you that at the Jefferson County Park, they have controlled the deer population with a call every year. It's finally under control. They feel like they have a herd that's manageable. And in talking to a couple people, I have been told there's herds north of town. So I thought maybe it's worth discussing with Evergreen Cemetery. And also I thought in the area north of Chautauqua Park, you know, if we close those places off, that could happen. And I know a lot of people don't like the idea of killing deer. It's not very fun and all of that.
I
but-
live not too far from Jefferson County Park, and I don't know if they've actually controlled them or just chased them out of the park, because it's worse this year in our yard than it's ever been.
Well, maybe.
They're pulling our window boxes off our front porch from the porch side. They walk under our porch, pull the window boxes off and eat them.
Right, they get on the porches, and that's what this woman was complaining about.
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
You know, it's
They're far too
damaging to the
tame.
house, in fact, not just to
Yeah.
the hostas.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if we let dogs run free, the dogs could chase the deer.
Of course, I
Well,
have
everybody
usually
can get a
the-
wolfhound.
I had
county
three
hires,
deer in my yard the other day, early in the morning at 6 o'clock. They ate my pumpkins. They actually broke and ate my pumpkins.
Called you
I mean, I
rude.
could not
Squirrels will do that
believe it.
too. Yeah.
I mean, all these things that I had out front, that was the end of pumpkins.
The county hires professionals, and they
No.
call out the
No.
herd?
No, they closed the park
No.
for a hunt,
Why do you think they close it?
bow hunt.
Yeah, they have a.
Well, I don't know if they
Season?
closed the
Yeah,
park, but they have
Which-
bow hunting. So
Did they
here's what
take
happens
advantage of our city
when you start having a hunt
Too many
somewhere.
hoops to jump
You
through.
know, that just pushes the deer out of that area and goes somewhere else where
Into
they're
the hunters,
safe.
it's supposed to.
What's that?
Don't you push them into the hunters?
Well,
And then they
that-
shoot them.
well, but first of all, do we want to have people shooting guns in town?
Not guns.
No, they do it by bow and arrow.
But with bow, it's a little bit challenging because with a bow, it's got to be more of a stationary target than a deer running by you.
Yes.
And so,
And you have to keep your arrow in your own property.
That's the biggest problem, Katie. That
Yeah.
Yes.
So you've got it becomes a very problematic thing. Now, could we close parks, or not necessarily close parks, but allow our public parks to be part of public hunting? We could, but I think that's just going to do nothing more than push them into the private
Neighborhoods.
properties, and then you know, I see a lot of deer right behind my house quite frequently, and so. What I would recommend to people that are having deer eat their hostas and stuff, there is some deer repellents out there that I think you can spray your plants with that deer will stay away from.
There's also homeopathic, I mean, you can look
Until
up on
it
the internet.
rains. When it rains, you just have to do it the next
again.
day.
And you have to do it again.
You have to do it again.
There's not an easy fix, and I actually, I went on the internet to see if there's anything new. I found a white paper from, I think it's 2008, about a particular drug that sterilized deer, but I talked to the local vet, he had never heard of it, so I don't think that has come to fruition where it's really useful. I actually found towns who were spending money for a team of vets and vet techs that they would catch the deer and throw them on a table in your backyard and sterilize them and then get them up and going within 30 minutes. But
Is it
this
against
is
the law
impractical, money-wise.
Against the law to put down a feed and poison them?
You cannot put out feed plots.
Yeah, you can't poison them.
You can put out a feed plot, you can't.
Not in town, you can't.
No, we prohibit that in town. You
Yeah,
can't
in
have
town
feed
it's
plots.
against-
Oh, so when the apples on my tree fall, that's a
Yeah.
feed?
It's not a planted feed plot.
That's not
But you're not allowed to
intentional.
poison them, is what you're telling me?
Yeah, I think that
State
would,
law?
I'm telling you that.
I would think that'd be problematic also because
Yeah, 'cause
you
they're
don't
just
know
gonna
exactly
drop in someone's
who's
yard.
gonna come in or what is gonna
You
come
have
in
to
and
dispose of
eat.
the bodies either way.
All those
though.
cats and
You
dogs.
can't go outside the hunting and trapping rules, Doug, and there's no hunting or trapping rule.
I see.
Allows you to poison. Our ordinance is the third revised ordinance right now. We've had park hunting, we've had hunting in designated areas. We now have it so that you can, if your backyard's big enough and you got 150 foot of clear shot, even diagonal, you can shoot a deer in your backyard. But the problem is most backyards don't have 150 clear foot shot. And it's a DNR rule that is designed for out in the pasture or farther. And I think maybe we inquire of DNR about whether they can make an exemption for that for a period of time in December. Like our ordinance was basically approved by DNR. And the Jefferson County Park Ordinance I'm familiar with, that's DNR sanctioned too, as far as the way they run it. But if we had 100-foot clear shot, you'd have a lot more opportunities in this town as far as somebody shooting in their backyard. You're still going to have an unpopular ordinance because there's an awful lot of people that would prefer to feed the deer than shoot the deer. And it's a pest type problem that some people think pests are cute. So.
Well, and at one time, public safety had talked about, and I don't remember why we didn't pursue it, but we had talked about enabling the police department to help us with this. Do you remember, were you
I
part of
do.
that?
Right.
I know
I
it may have been
recall
before
that.
you, but when we originally brought this up and then it went away before we brought it up a second time, there was something about using your local law enforcement and allowing them to cull deer in city limits. I don't know if we would
Remember
want to
there-
reconsider that.
I just remember there were police officers who were interested in town.
Yeah, I remember
hunting.
that too, Katie.
Yeah, but we had actually looked at using local law enforcement to cull the population, and it might be worth looking into that again if it's something we can do. So then you're not leaving it in the hands of the public, you're hopefully leaving it in the hands of people who are trained to use the weapons. But it might be something we'd want to
Okay,
reconsider.
so do you want to take that to safety committee?
Sure, I'd love to. Wait, I think
Because I don't want to spend 20
down
minutes
this
on
path
tonight.
before.
Really, I think it
Can we
should be
include
discussed
the
in
cats
committee to
with
see
that?
if you want to do anything different. I mean,
Just
there's sprays, you can get like little
motion.
statues
And not
of
hurting
wolves
cats.
and dogs and make sounds and, I have a friend who has the deer water shooter. Her flowers have looked gorgeous all year round. It's working for her. But all those things cost money and you have to rotate them and keep at them and I get it, it's a pain. And yes, they can cost
All right.
So-
money and your flowers cost money too.
need a motion.
Yes, please.
I move that we move the animal complaints to the safety committee. Safety and transportation. It's cat and deer.
Walk right up and
Deer.
down D Street.
Second.
Walk right
Okay.
up and down D Street.
Moved and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those
Come over
opposed, same
from the
sign.
country club and walk right down D Street.
Great, thank you.
They do.
What's this dog?
And then they jump my fence.
I did mention it to our sustainability coordinator too, but so I don't know though where that went, if
Okay.
anywhere.
Great. City Attorney report, John, you have anything tonight?
Nothing tonight.
Okay, just slow night. Committee and board reports, personnel.
Ours went simple and quick. I thought it was going to be an hour. They surprised me. First, Doug is interested in going to this sustainability conference in Dubuque, and so we just wanted to clarify using the line item for the council to pay for his lodging and registration and mileage. And so that is what we are proposing to go forward. And just to let you know, Elizabeth, because this was new to me too, that is there available for us as council members, that if there are extended things beyond just the League of Cities of areas where we are expected to have a higher expertise or an understanding of what's going on. So I'm appreciative of Doug wanting to go and work with our new coordinator and others in the city and just hopefully bring back some more stuff for all of us to understand there. Then the second item was we took a look at what the police department is using for social media policy and the guidelines that we discussed. I'm sure you all remember way back in April at that work session. And pretty much right now, the official Facebook page is just being administered through the office here, and we are just posting, what the public needs to know. And the policy of just the simple, easy thing is we just don't respond to anything. The public can obviously converse, but we're not trying to encourage a lot of comment from here because we would still rather the public either call or come in for official comment that way. But it is a good way to put out news releases, reminders of things going on in the city at different times of the year. And so the city administrator will be looking through that police policy, and we'll be changing the wording for our use just to initially begin using a policy format. Pretty easy, straightforward. Thank you.
Administrator and department reports.
I don't have anything tonight, so I'll let Melanie go to her EPA report and fire station schematic. We had a meeting a couple days ago talking about the fire station design, so I'll let her talk about it.
Which one's first and last? Okay, EPA. So this is the semi-annual report that's due to EPA as part of our compliance order. This is draft. The parts in yellow, I need to sit down with the wastewater department to finalize what work we have done in the collection system in the last 6 months. But the key thing, I guess, to know is that we have not had a sanitary sewer overflow in the last 6 months, which means we have gone 12 months without a sanitary sewer overflow. It has been dry, but still, a year is a really good thing. We are getting very close to starting on step 3, which is the next critical deadline for EPA. In my report, I do touch on the supply chain issues that if we do not have any supply chain issues, we should be able to meet our December 2023 completion date that EPA has set. But as I mentioned in here, that as of right now, we're looking at 6 to 18 months on ductile iron pipe and 6 to 12 months on electrical components. And so assuming that that is still the environment a few months from now when we bid that project, that will be something that I'll have to be discussing with EPA regarding our compliance schedule. So this is due on Saturday. I will get it out as soon as I have an opportunity to talk to the sewer department. Any questions?
How many SSOs are we allowed a year?
We're not allowed any, but unless it is more than the
100-year
10-year storm.
Right,
And I don't remember how many inches per hour that is, but.
okay.
So the second item in the report is, wanted to let you know that that Aaron and myself, Fire Chief Hannah's, Assistant Chief Farrell and Driver Jason Crandall all met with Klingner last week to review the 30% drawings. The full set that we went over is in the back. Again, if anyone from the public wants to look at them, they can come to City Hall and look at them. The 30% is just, we're very close to finalizing the floor plan. And also attached to your agenda is the basis of design, or what they call the building narrative. And so this is the materials that we intend on using, broad scope of work, but then it does start to narrow down to the appliances that are going to be provided in each building. So that's the basis of design. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be the final material selection. If we get into 80% design and we do a cost estimate and we need to find a cheaper siding material than the brick, then we make those changes. But this is where we're starting from. A lot of architects and engineers do this to make sure they're at least starting down the right path. We felt really good from our conversation last week. Had several recommendations or discussions about different parts of the floor plan. So we should be getting close to finalizing the floor plan within the next month. And I guess unless public safety wants to meet on any of this, we'll just keep proceeding with staff recommendations on the floor plan and the basis of design.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask if you'll let me know when the next meeting is, and I'll try to make the ones I can do on non-payroll weeks.
Okay.
So,
When do you anticipate your next meeting? Do you have it set?
No. We probably won't. Well, actually, we might have a meeting to do the final blessing of the floor plan. But then after we do the final blessing of the floor plan, they start to get into a lot of the extreme details of, picking out fixtures and things like that, and design of the air handling units and things like that we don't necessarily have a role in. So not as much for us to review, not as much fun stuff for us to review. But if we do have another meeting to go over the floor plan, I will make sure you know, Katie.
okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, do we have a floor plan that could accommodate the communications unit that is currently in the law enforcement building in the new fire station?
We talked about it.
We're working on it.
Yes.
We haven't completely
So there-
figured it out, the whole thing, but yes, we're working.
I would ask that we seriously consider having a floor plan that could accommodate that, should we decide that that's the best place for that unit.
So regarding communication, dispatch, EMA, emergency, all of that, one of the meetings that we are still going to have is EMA, electronic engineering, the electrical engineer. They're all going to have a meeting to talk cables and wires and what's needed for all of that, to make sure we're all on the same page. My understanding is the cables that are needed to actually start dispatch are very expensive. So my recommendation would maybe be just to run the conduit so that it's there and you're not paying for something that we're not using at this time.
Yeah, just make it available.
Right.
Yeah.
Same with what we did this week and last week is set up, like, what goals do we want for our command center? What do we want to be able to do if everything is down? Well, to have complete dispatch services during an emergency is a whole nother level. So we narrowed it down to, we want to be able to have radio communication throughout the county during an emergency situation. So we're going through those things, and I guess, kind of going through our wants versus what's practical versus what we can afford. And we're letting the technical people talk about it, because obviously I know a lot about electrical engineering.
Well, with regard to EMA, since we're providing space for the entire county's EMA service, if we do that, then to what degree should we expect the rest of the county to fund or pay a rent or something for that service?
At this point, we have not asked EMA for anything because we're using the ARPA funds, which is the reason why we're doing that. And so I don't think it would be.
Well, I don't
good.
mean in the construction, I mean after it's built and we're housing them.
Right, and
That's built into
that's
how
kind
we're
of
using the ARPA funds.
Yeah, so it's kind of a memo of understanding that we've said at this point we would not ask EMA or emergency management to pay rent.
And I'll just add that the county supervisors would like that in writing
Yes.
at the next EMA meeting.
The other, just a FYI, the supervisors debate is going on tonight, and I just got a text message that the current supervisor is throwing us under the bus for causing all the problems with dispatch. So you all.
So can I get off the podium before you guys start, really talking about stuff I don't want to get involved in?
So politically, I think council, you need to
Head over there next.
contact your constituents and get involved about who's going to work with us as a city when we're already being double taxed and that doesn't work out, the discussion. So it's entirely in your court. You guys do what you do politically. Obviously, I'm not allowed to get involved politically, and I'm not going to. So that's up to you.
Back to the fire station. Just as we talked about with dispatch, we're providing a space. There's nothing even saying EMA is for sure moving in at this point.
Right.
That has been our intent as the city, but the EMA board.
The commission.
What?
The board.
Their board
Emergency management board.
could say, I don't care if the rent's free, we don't like you, or the office is too small. I don't know. They could come up with a reason and say they aren't going to move.
But the city is building a tornado-resistant command center for the use of the EMA should that need arise.
Well, not necessarily just emergency management, because that's something that we need should there be a tornado or something.
Right, we would use it too.
We need it, because there isn't one in the county. So I think it's a good thing to have anyway.
I agree.
But
And then go to the next page. If you can. And then zoom in on that works. So, sorry, Jason. And I just want to explain that we've got two different kind of command centers outlined here. So we have this one here that is within the
storm shelter.
And so that's going to have the ability to house 4 to 6 people. And that's going to be your immediate response during the event, depending on what the event is. If it's a long-standing, something that's happening over a long period of time, you can station in there and be safe. The multi-purpose room then that is below that is much larger, that's going to be your potential space for a command center. Again, we're not the ones who decide where the command center is, but potential space for the command center that
Outside of the storm shelter.
outside of the storm shelter, but that can house, I think we ended up with like 28 people. You're looking at representatives, school, BNSF, Alliant, ITC, FAA, anyone that might have to be here,
Food suppliers.
yeah, depending on what type of the emergency, a train derailment, you'd have hospital, you'd have BNSF, you'd have emergency services. And so we're setting that up. We talked about putting outlets in the floor and stuff like that so you could have a lot of workstations. So we have a small command center that is in the storm shelter and then a larger one that would be overflow.
Right.
But it also makes it a good classroom space outside of those emergency situations.
Well, I would just say, to whoever's planning on these final designs, that we set it up so that should we want, at some time in the future, put a communications section in that building, it should be ready and prepared for that.
Duly noted.
It might happen 10 years from now or 15, who knows? But the conduits in place would be handy.
And the
Yeah.
conduits, because we know that that particular area of emergency services changes very rapidly, so there's no reason to put all of the infrastructure, to put the infrastructure in there, but if you make it available, it's kind of like we're preparing the building for solar panels,
Right.
structurally. We're not putting any wires in or anything like that because we know it'll change by the time we're ready to actually put them on.
Right.
Okay?
Okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you. I guess there's no other questions for Melanie about the building? Just let us know when your next meeting is, appreciate that. I thought of a couple other things that I forgot to mention in the mayor's report. We did receive the $10,000 grant for the housing study, so FIDA will be administering that. Also, regarding the Great Places, you saw that last month, kind of very simple,
view.
yeah, 1,000-foot view, very simple outline. We did get comment back on that, and we did get invited to submit a grant. So Aaron and I are meeting with Terry Baker tomorrow and Ed Malloy, and we'll start talking through the more detail of what they're asking for. And so we'll be bringing that back to the council as well with more detail and flesh out some of that. So, nothing else? Take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Toohill,
Second.
second by Rasmussen. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
Hey, Tom, did you see what happened?
Meeting adjourned.